Now, I wanted to get back to the like student side, and then like we're academic advisors, and then also like students. We have to. I mean, we see the chemistry. Now that I wanted to throw the ball to them, not to point out to that even Momoka or Cindy or Jin, you can, but even like a student, who are the good mentors as being the academic advisors? If you can kind of really point it out, like who are the good mentors and then from the student side,
So what quality?
what the quality is kind of the, you can define it. That's why I'm going to throw the ball to the OSU side. Okay, Brent.
Opening up, I think I kind of have a more maybe American perspective and maybe even like a more modern perspective in this. But in a mentor, I look for someone that I can have a genuine connection with. I think I'm not interested in someone who just wants to walk me through the rules and who just tells me this is what I have to do because I said so, because this is what people have done before. I want someone who I can have open connection, open dialogue with, and who can guide me in the right direction while being able to explain to me why it's important, why it can benefit me personally, and why they think that this is the correct actions for me specifically. And then I just want them to have genuine interest in me and not just someone who is collecting students so they can generate more publications. I want someone who is also open. Obviously, they have more experience and more knowledge than I do, but also can explain to me maybe why that in a certain situation their idea is better than my idea, or maybe if I could potentially offer some good insights, they'd be willing to accept that maybe there's options other than they presented. So someone who I can, who like really focuses on my growth, and maybe even that we can grow together. That's what I bring up.
Great, great. What about the like UG side? I mean, maybe Cindy, and what is that? How do you?
Actually, I agree with what you said. With that, I want to, like you said, I want to be able to have like a negotiation process. And what I mean by negotiation is not like a contract type of thing, but like, hey, this is how I feel. Okay, well, for example, Sato says, or Dr. Sato, how do you feel about this? Oh, you feel this way. This is how I feel like it should be done. Why is this different? Where am I lacking? Where's the gap? Like, I want to be able to have that type of conversation and that negotiation of like, this is the way that I'm facing towards this problem. Are you able to kind of like empathize with me, kind of see through, see where I'm coming from, and we can kind of negotiate and come up with a solid plan together to move forward.
I wanted to ask you to the both of you that are you really looking for the academic relationship or are you looking for like an academic and plus social relationship with the faculty members?
I think I'm looking for both because I find that if I have someone who's a purely academic advisor, then I'm not able to. Some things I don't see the value of doing it the way they do it, and I'm maybe scared to express that. But I continue to work in the direction that they point me towards, maybe in a less motivated and less productive way. So if someone is my mentor who I can maybe have a more social, it doesn't have to be necessarily a close friendship. It's someone who I can be more open with, then that enables me to see the value in their perspectives and allows me to have more motivation and work more strongly towards what they're going for because intrinsically I understand that this is a good thing to do.
And in which I feel like I'm not really good at developing a social relationship. I mean, so soon.
I think for me, my mentoring philosophy is that I want to build that relationship with my students. The academic stuff will come. To me, relationships are the most important thing. And I want my students to understand who I am, and I want to understand who they are. So, for example, with a current doc student I have, we meet at coffee shops. All of our meetings are coffee shops, or for lunch.
And I
And
should
so,
do that.
yeah, so he should treat you to lunch.
I should do that.
It creates a less formal situation, so we can engage in conversations. And actually, at dinner last night with Deneen and Anne sitting over there, we discovered that all three of us are first generation. students. Like no one else in my family had gone to college prior to me. It's the same, and so part of that is being able to share that with our students, because my students may look at me, I'm not put together, but they may look at me and think I don't understand their struggles if they are a first gen student, or if they are someone who comes from a diverse background. They might look at me until they get to know me and think she's not going to understand. So, as Brandon was saying, not willing to open up. So, being in a space where I can explain to my students who I am, and also my journey to get to where I am, I think is really important, because then if we can have a relationship, then I feel I can push academically, or not push if that person isn't in a space at a particular time. Um, Without that, I think it's more, for me, it would be more formulated. Okay, first year you've got to do this, check, done. The second year, this, check, done. And not get to know my students. And so to me, relationships are everything. And I still have strong relationships with my former graduate students. So that's what's important to me.
I'm trying to learn from Seiji to change also. How do you, I mean, do you develop with a social relationship, or which I'm not really good at, because I have a quite, I mean, many PhD students in under me, and then that was kind of a little bit difficult, and I want to treat them to equally, but I don't have time to do the social components because it's 24/7. I'm taking care of something that's from the student side. So I mean, here kind of a little bit, how do you deal with that for the students and stuff doing?
Yeah, because yes, because I also have five PhD students and two master students and undergrad, a lot of the words. So, but then and in terms of the relationship, like Sue said, I think that the social relationship is very important with the PhD student, and also. I think I try to actually to respect their independence. So I try to not tell them what to do always. So because they have their own opinion, they want to do something, their project. But then, but I always try to respect their thought. Then let's we think together. That's my style. If I do if I tell them okay what to do this, then it's it's easy maybe easy to finish the complete dissertation, but it's not good to be independent. That our goal is the student is going to be the independent researcher to they can publish there by themselves and to get a grant. So that case, during the PhD time, I think they need to we want to train them to their the ability to research. So that's I always do to for relationship wise. I treat them just like as colleagues, not just a student. So that's it. I think that's important.
Please think, Shinji.
Well, so I have big family, so it's really difficult to spend personal time together. But I really like the idea of maybe meeting at a coffee shop, and change the space, right? I think in a friendly environment, we can have different kinds of talk related to that. I often do is probably also resonate with what Sage says. We do like brainstorming session together, not in my office, but to at shared office where big whiteboard is located at in front of us. Standing in front of the whiteboard. Students and I, just talk to each other and think about what the student could do. And so I think I like that idea because it's truly ground up from students' interest, and I got I get to know students' interests, who they are, and who the person wants to be. So I think I through that process, I you know I, my students' response was really positive. They really liked it, and I like that too because I can see their personalities and what they want to do.
Yeah, sure. And this is actually from a colleague, Anna, who has 3 PhD students who are finishing up. And Anne shared, and I do this too, and no other colleagues, but Anne was sharing how a PhD student was over at her house the other day, so on a weekend, so that they can be working in a more social environment, and so building relationships and being able to help students in that way, I think, is important. Might be more of a cultural thing from the US than necessarily Japan, but that, and that was a great story that Al shared.
And then I think it's like a great way to develop the social relationship. But at the same time, it's like sometimes like a student very struggle to publishing and conducting the research. Then social relationship is over. Sometimes because they got frustration and they got mad and that kind of things that happen. So like for me, it's like for is that like for I want to talk to like a little bit about the next conversation regarding like if when the faculty members, academic advisors see like a student really in a challenging situations, how should we deal with that for then what are the like what kind of the actions do we need to take it I'm trying to solve a lot of the problems and then even like myself so like I have the several very challenging situations and which is understandable but some things like I feel as an academic advisor I cannot help that so like there was kind of a little bit if I can help and I will help in 100% effort on it. But sometimes like it's not okay. You know, that's like challenging situations. Now I wanted to pass to that probably into your stages and stuff too. And how do you deal with the challenging situations and stuff too?
Yes, sometimes yes, I have a different, difficult situation. So, okay, so in that case, I think it's because of the mentoring is kind of, depend on the student. It's not just a stereotype, the guidance. So then we need probably the really delicate, handling. We need depend on the according to the student. So that case, I think, we need always. Try to give them some positive feedback and also the not negative. It's like a critical feedback. It's mixed. And mixed means we need to use both positive and critical. So then, if it's only the not negative feedback, critical feedback, then it's gonna be worse. In case depends on student. Some students need more critical the guidance, but some students need more positive feedback. Then they motivate them to research or to writing the paper. So that kind of handling is it's delicate, but it's very important.
How do you judge that negative? Because since I have that I give the critical feedback and the student take it really negative.
Yeah.
And then
Always.
right. So then like a relationship over, and then we lost the contact and those kind of things. And it happens sometimes. And then so then is there like how do you what is like a kind of little bit? I mean, how do you make the judgment that that student is like a critical feedback is it good or positive feedback is it what is it a borderline or
So probably even though I give them the critical feedback, I try to let them think, not just this is you need to fix, you need to correct, not like that. Okay, so why don't what do you think about this one? Something like that. Let them think, not just my opinion. I would say I would think this one, but let them think about this. Then come back again. And it's not just the single occasion. I give them several opportunities to think to gradually.
I think it's back and forth to that. How to make it.
And I love what Seiji just said there, because I think ultimately our role as an advisor is to build the future professionals. And so part of that is not only just, and it's different here than it would be in the States because we have 3 legs to the stool that we are evaluated on as faculty members with scholarship, research, and teaching. But I do think in the research space, we are working with our students for them to become independent researchers. So if we are always saying, no, do it this way, go away, and make those corrections, come back, and then you'll be good, rather than, as Seiji was saying, thinking about it, like giving suggestions, asking them to critique and think and come back with a plan. It takes longer, to your point,
right,
it takes a lot longer to do it that way, but I think ultimately what we are doing is we're giving our students the skills to be self-reflective rather than relying on feedback. Okay, here's my outline, can you correct it for me? We are giving them the skills that, and as we all know, that takes time, and we're always learning to do that in a better way. So I agree with Sadie. I think getting them to look at it and using the sandwich effect, right? This is good. Let's work on this. This was great. So
Right.
we're starting positive. If there's
Right.
that feedback in the middle, and then we're ending positive.
And I think it's like one times like I was kind of a little bit struggling that sometimes the student decide their own rules and their own expectations, and then the faculty members, academic advisors doesn't align their expectations, and it makes it a little bit difficult. And then if you're not in the position to not to change their mindset, but like for it's more like what does like a PhD mean to it? Like a PhD means the philosophy of the doctor. Because the student have to thinking about their own philosophy, throw the ball to us, and then we are there. That philosophy, that ball is really qualified to get it the doctor. That was a kind of little bit. It's a PhD. It's like a 2 words is combined. That was a kind of little bit quite tough in the situations and stuff too.
Yeah.
So that's one.
I love that analogy of the ball. It's almost like a tennis match.
Right.
Not that we're trying to win, but
Right.
now the ball, I'm hitting the ball back to you. So,
Right.
and take it, shape it, hit it back to me.
Right.
But, so it's that iterative process
Sure.
in advance.
Right.